Have you ever noticed something strange about your mind? Two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away with completely different conclusions. One person sees an opportunity, the other sees a disaster. Same situation, different reality. Why does this happen? Because the human brain doesn't show us reality exactly as it is. Instead, it filters it, it simplifies it. Psychologists call these distortions cognitive distortions. They are hidden patterns in the way we think, and most of the time, we don't even realize they are happening. What are cognitive distortions? Your brain processes an enormous amount of information every second, far more than your conscious mind can handle. So the brain creates shortcuts. These shortcuts help us make decisions faster, but they also create errors in thinking. These errors are called cognitive distortions. They quietly influence how you see yourself, how you judge other people, and how you interpret the world around you. Once you learn to recognize them, you start seeing reality much more clearly. All or nothing thinking. This distortion forces the brain to think in extremes. Something is either perfect or a complete failure. There is no middle ground. You succeed completely or you fail completely. But real life rarely works like that. Most of life exists somewhere in the middle. Overgeneralizing. Overgeneralizing happens when the brain takes one event and turns it into a permanent rule. You fail once, and suddenly your mind says, "This always happens to me." One moment becomes a lifelong pattern. But one experience does not define your entire life. Black and white thinking. Black and white thinking simplifies the world too much. Things become either good or bad, right or wrong, success or failure. But reality is more complex. Most situations contain both positive and negative elements. When we remove that complexity, we start seeing a distorted version of the world. Mind reading. Mind reading is when the brain assumes it knows what others are thinking. Someone looks at you for a moment, and your mind instantly creates a story. They think I'm stupid. They don't like me. But the truth is, we almost never know what someone else is thinking. Most of the time, we're just guessing. Catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is when the mind jumps to the worst possible outcome. A small problem appears, and the brain immediately imagines a disaster. You make a small mistake, and your mind predicts huge consequences. But in reality, most problems are far smaller than the stories our minds create. Emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning happens when we believe our feelings are facts. If you feel anxious, you assume something must be wrong. If you feel insecure, your mind concludes you must be inadequate. But emotions are not always accurate reflections of reality. They are signals, not proof. Labeling. Labeling happens when the brain reduces a person to a single word. Instead of saying, "I made a mistake," the mind says, "I am a failure." One action becomes an identity, but people are much more complex than a single label. Mental filtering. The brain has a strong bias toward negative information. Imagine this. You receive 10 compliments and 1 criticism. Which one will your mind remember? Most likely, the criticism. This is called mental filtering. The brain zooms in on the negative and ignores the positive. Personalization. Personalization happens when we assume everything is about us. A friend seems distant, and the mind says, "It must be because of me." Someone looks upset, and you assume you caused it. But the reality is, most things in life have nothing to do with us. Unreal ideal. Modern life constantly shows us perfect images, perfect bodies, perfect lifestyles, perfect success. Our brain compares our real life to these unrealistic standards, and suddenly, normal life feels like failure. But those images are often carefully edited illusions. Comparing yourself to them is comparing reality to fiction. Here's the most important thing to remember. Your thoughts are powerful, but they are not always accurate. Many of the thoughts we believe every day are simply cognitive distortions. The moment you learn to recognize them, you gain a powerful advantage. You stop automatically believing every thought your mind produces. And when that happens, you begin to see reality more clearly. Because sometimes, the most important skill you can develop is learning not to believe everything your mind tells you.